Now we'll discuss some of the outcomes of Chief Pontiac's War and its overall impact on other important developments of American history. By October 1764, major military hostilities of Pontiac's War had ended due to several large and successful military expeditions by British forces that went deep into Indian-controlled land of the Ohio Country and the Great Lakes areas. The British forces encountered Indian leaders there of many different tribes, desiring an end to hostilities without further battles. Several peace treaties resulted, and in 1766, after being sought out as the leader of the war by the British, Pontiac himself signed the peace treaty. Despite making peace, Chief Pontiac was killed while in Illinois country several years later by an unknown individual. The circumstances of his death remain mysterious, but Pontiac's legacy would not be so easily extinguished. Pontiac is remembered today as leading the most successful Indian insurrection in American history, one that ended in a military stalemate since no territory was officially lost by the Indians. The British also did resume the practice of giving generous gifts such as gunpowder to the Indian leaders in accordance with Indian custom and tradition. But the British would again fail to control the ever-growing chaos of their American colonies. Pontiac's War inspired Indian war parties to attack and plunder the homes of white settlers throughout the old frontier. These attacks ignited vicious episodes of violence between the white settlers and natives that continued after the treaties were signed, and this kept the frontier in a state of crisis in constant need of attention of the colonial governments. Most importantly, Pontiac's War convinced the British that they needed greater imperial control over the Appalachian frontier. In order to avoid costly future wars with Native Americans and to better control the development of North American trade, the British instituted the Proclamation Line of 1763 in the Royal Proclamation of 1763. This forbid colonists from settling west of the Allegheny Mountains. While this royal decree was meant to exert more control over the colonies, in the end it only helped unite different sectors of pre-revolutionary American society in their growing feelings of discontent of the empire's governance. Many commoners saw this proclamation as an obstacle imposed by the Crown, keeping them from the promise of rich farmland in the upper Ohio River Valley and beyond. So many ignored it and continued to settle in breach of the law. Some wealthy New England merchants, made rich on Indian trade, believed that the proclamation limited their right to free trade. And likewise, the Proclamation Line angered wealthy land speculators such as Patrick Henry, George Washington, and Thomas Jefferson, who aspired to secure greater and more stable fortunes in the development of the trans-Appalachian frontier beyond the Alleghenies. These important sectors of early American society wanted more control over their own destiny, including the westward expansion into the hard-won western territories, which required control over Indian relations. It's no surprise then that the key events leading to the American Revolution began as early as 1765 in the immediate wake of Pontiac's War. Pontiac's memory lives on, of course, in the namesake of Pontiac, Michigan, a major city just north of Detroit. The chief also inspired the name of the Pontiac automobile brand built by General Motors for most of the 20th century. And now I hope that you also remember the Pontiac as a very important historical figure who played a key role in the events leading up to the American Revolution. And remember that it all started here in Detroit in 1763.